So many people go into the work they go into because that's what they felt they should do or what they needed to do to gain employment immediately after their educations, at whatever level of education they've completed. And as painful and difficult as it can be, these times when our worlds are sort of upended through our own responsibilities or through no fault of our own, they can be times of great growth, introspection, and carving out the life one really maybe has always wanted for oneself in terms of work they're doing.
So really the outlook doesn't have to be so gloomy or so sad. This can actually be a good chance for you to really fulfill a lifelong dream, is it not?
I would say that, yes. I am not here to be the think positive always cheerleader, because I don't think it's about always thinking positive. I think it's about thinking realistically. And in terms of job change, I mean, even changing our language can be a big thing. So rather than referring to it as job loss or work loss, how about job change, work change? And then we can go in, acknowledge whatever psychological impact the loss or change has been on us, and move forward in a direction that is maybe going to be a lot more fulfilling over the long term.
Right.
So, right, not dismal, also not Pollyanna, just very accurate thinking. Where accurate thinking and motivation meet, great opportunities are possible.
Right. So how do we go about finding new opportunities in this particular economy?
There are always companies that are hiring in any economy, even in this one. One thing that I would caution someone who's looking for a job is don't watch the news every day and watch the unemployment numbers. Focus on their own search. If you want to see who's hiring, we still know that companies are hiring that are anything related, for example, to health care. Because of the downturn in the economy, there are some business, maybe those that are dealing with debt collection and so forth, where someone might have had skills in another industry and that's been cut back, but they may need people. So you have to look for the hidden opportunities. What I see happen a lot, and you'll talk to many people who say they're in a job search and nothing is happening, is that what they'll do is they decide that they need to make a change. They might be laid off, they've been laid off, so they dust off their old resume, they write down what's on their job description, not necessarily those really best accomplishments. They call a few people and say, oh, I'm going to be looking for a job. They answer some ads, they contact a couple of agencies, and then they sit back and they wait. And I call that the lottery approach to job search. Really needs to be much more proactive, more specific, and we can talk more about those methods. And so that's one of the reasons I think some people think that they're not finding anything, because they're answering, especially people spend a lot of time on their computers and online and not out talking to people. And so they're putting a tremendous amount of effort into something that is a small percentage of the jobs. And the opportunities are out there. I'm not saying that there are on every street corner, but there are opportunities for employment.
Okay. So what are some of the most basic skills that people should have, before beginning their job search, at least in today's kind of job environment? What are some of the most basic skills that people should have?
Well, that really depends on, their area of expertise. What I really would like each person to do if they sit down with someone or if they do a self-assessment, look at what skills they already have. For example, if somebody was in customer service, let's say in a bank, and the bank has had a reduction, are they a banking professional or are they a customer service professional? Look at the skills. They'll see customer service, so then they can say, oh, well, what other areas are needing customer service people? Maybe some of these, like I just mentioned, maybe people with financing needs. So it's to look at what the skills are that they can transfer to other businesses, and then be very accomplishment-based and start to identify other areas that are hiring. And some ways that you can do that is, of course, you can look at the ads, you can read periodicals, there's the Occupational Outlook, talk to other people, even look just to see what companies are hiring. It doesn't have to be what job is open that is a fit for you, but just to see where there are some hiring trends. Look at some of these growing industries, and then start exploring other options.
I'd just like to build on one thing Joan said also. in response to your previous question, when she was talking about the need to get away from the computer and get out there and meet people, one of the, and also in response to one of your first questions, one of the things that often happens when people are going through the unacknowledged psychological impacts of job change or new opportunities waiting for them is that sense of unworthiness or insecurity and the withdrawal or isolation that can occur in response to that. It may be the last time someone wants to be out there meeting people, shaking hands, saying hello, talking about what they do because of their foundations being shaken, as you alluded to. And that is the time to be out there. It's a very difficult thing, particularly if one doesn't understand exactly how deeply one's been affected. But even with that understanding, there still is going to be a need to just get yourself away from the computer or up off the sofa and out the door to meet people and stay engaged. That is a huge, huge factor really at any point in our lives in overcoming any sense of loss or depression, but particularly in these economic times, I would say. Would you agree with that, Jo?
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Okay. And going back to the topic of, the skills that you should have, what would be the value of maybe going back and retraining? Are there any, can the government assist with that? Are there any sort of ways that people can go back and retrain?
There are some, there are government programs for some retraining. I don't have the specifics on that, but there are, and certainly can talk to the workforce office and find out what programs you would qualify for. What I would suggest that someone do before they go for the training in an area is to research the field that they're thinking about going into and to talk to some people who are in that line of work. Somebody could do some very basic research and they might go on the internet and say, oh, I want to be in this field of medical testing or something like that. They should go out before you invest a lot of time and training. Identify some people who work in that field either through an association, through the trade school that you're thinking of getting the training from. Talk to some people practicing in the field. Find out, what is your day like? What is this work like? What is a realistic salary? And really research it and talk to several people before making the commitment to do the training. And one caution I would have for some people is that I see a lot of workshops popping up around for certifications. Some of them are fairly expensive. Find out what they offer you once the certification is done. Is this a group that is going to give you some backing? Are they going to give you leads? Are they going to help you find a job? Go on some just general informational interviews, which is one of the things we encourage clients to do. Talk to somebody about what your backgrounds are and tell them that you're interested in their business and say, would there be opportunities for someone like me? And if they say, no, you don't have the right background, say, what are the skills that I am lacking? Are those computer skills? Do I need a certain certification? So yes, I think there's a value in retraining, but I don't think it's just to sign up for every course that comes along that might, they might be taking advantage too of people, that are just a little bit desperate. Okay.
So is there a way that we can specifically say is the best way to find a job?
There are 4 ways to find jobs.
Okay.
I'll tell you what they are and I'll tell you what the statistics are, and then people can decide from there. The one way is to answer ads, either online or in print.
Okay.
5 to 10% of jobs are found that way, and I absolutely think that you could be one of the 5 or 10%, so people should still answer ads. Don't stop answering ads. The other 5 to 10% are found through agencies and search firms. Work with them, but don't go with the premise that these people are going to find you a job.
Right.
They're going to find you a job if they have one that's a match. The other 80% are found through networking and direct contact. Would you like me to explain the difference between networking and direct contact? When you reach someone through networking, that's through a contact. For example, if I ask Dr. Smith who she knows at such and such an organization and she gives me a name and I send them a letter and request a meeting, or she sends my resume for me, that's through networking. There still isn't necessarily an opening there, but she's made an introduction. Direct contact is really reaching out to companies where you think that you would like to work and sending them a letter and requesting a meeting. And there are a couple of ways to do that. One is more targeted, where you actually follow up with phone calls and try to get that meeting. The other is more a large, campaign where you send out a letter directly, try to research each company individually, and basically try to get your name in front of them. And there are a lot of steps on how to implement that, but those are really the 4 ways to find a job, and the vast majority are found through networking and direct contact.